Hi, this is Scott Garibay, and today I want to talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and I want to talk about the brand new D&D canon hardback, Planescape, Adventures in the Multiverse. And so where do we land? And today what I want to do is I want to look at our first, I want to look at our first look at the first of the gate towns, right? And what is that? So the gate town we're going to look at today is Automata. So this is the Modron's gate town, and it is a gate to Manganiello, right? And that's the realm, the world of the Modrons, right? So here in Planescape, Adventures in the Multiverse, we're seeing Modrons in high detail. And they are detailed in higher detail in the bestiary that comes. We have setting-specific bestiaries, and this is getting really interesting, right? So we have a setting-specific bestiary for specifically for Spelljammer, and now we have a setting-specific bestiary for Planescape. We do not have a setting-specific bestiary for Dragonlance, right? Which is kind of interesting. They chose to present these settings in different ways, right? So, what's interesting about Automata? So, one, the gate itself actually looks like a toothed gear, right? And it's in the center of the town, and it actually, circles around, and you can go back and forth. You can go to Manganiello, or you can go to or you can come from Manganiello to Automata. What's also interesting is there is the concordant terminus. Now, this is one thing I really liked the concordant express was presented in Keys from the Golden Vault, right? So this is really interesting, where the concordant express is a Modron planar locomotive, which is really neat. And I love that we get to see concordant terminus. And this is also connecting this book directly to Keys from the Golden Vault. And it's really interesting because connecting worlds to, in Dungeons & Dragons is interesting because some worlds don't get much love. Like, for instance, I haven't seen anything in this book that connects to Radiant Citadel, which is interesting. So we'll see how that kind of plays out, right? But I really love that this connected to the Concordant Expressway, because the Concordant Expressway, it was my absolute favorite thing in Keys from the Golden Vault, and I have a lot of videos here on it. I have both shorts and long videos on Keys from the Golden Vault and talking about the Concordant Express specifically. So I loved seeing that. The other thing I thought was really interesting is they talk about the structure of Automata, the gate town, right? And there's a Council of Order on the top, right? When you come into the town, you are dealing with the Council of Order, and all the buildings are congruent and all set at right angles, and it's very confusing to anybody but a Modron. But this is one thing I loved. I really like this, right? This is a Modron city, but not everybody here is a Modron, right? In fact, there's tieflings, and there's halflings, and there's, regular player character species that are intermixed, right? And so I really like that it's not all one note. This is where the Modrons live, but they have, merchants that are of other species, which I thought was pretty interesting. And then on the flip side, called the inverse, literally the flip side of the city, there is a Council of Anarchy, right? Which is really quite interesting. And for all the order and law-abiding Modrons at the top, there's all these chaotic, evil Modrons on the bottom who are stealing, right? And the reason why is the top and the bottom have to kind of build a together. They build. They specifically build, like, they work together to kind of establish a what's the best a balance. The city has to have a balance of order and chaos because of the Modrons. Very, very interesting. Now, the last thing I was thinking about with one of the last things I was thinking about with Automata is in Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse, there was a very distinct decision not to make Modrons a playable character species, which is very interesting. We have artificial intelligence that is happening in our real world. That is very real, and it is occurring, right? And I thought this was very interesting that they decided not to do anything with that in Planescape Adventures of the Multiverse. I thought there was a very distinct and specific choice not to make the Modrons a playable species, which is very, very interesting. And I think one of the reasons why is I do think it is what the design team wants to say about artificial intelligence. And here's the issue. No question, Warforged have become a powerful way for dungeon performers to explore identity, and specifically to explore identity for species that don't have a soul, right? So these are, literally constructs, right? These are creatures that do not have an actual heart, right? They don't have a thinking mind. They have a collection of systems which amalgamate or emulate feeling and thinking and really interact with the world in a way that is different than a organically living creature, because they live inorganically. They're neither alive nor are they dead, right? So it's very, very interesting state. And I think, this is my take, I think the Dungeons & Dragons design team is not sure what on earth to do with artificial intelligence. They're being told by, this is my take, artists care about AI. They're like, oh no, artists are that AI clearly makes better art than me. I need to be frightened and reactionary, right? And I don't know and I think Dungeons & Dragons design team is like, well, we all watch Star Trek. We want to support AI, but it seems like there's still a conversation that's happening in America, and we already have one player character species that is available for this discussion, and everything is clear there. Where what would we be saying with the Modrons that is unique? And I think the fact that they're not positive. I think the Dungeons & Dragons design team absolutely wants to use AI art because it kicks butt, right? Like, it's really good, right? And the only people who are threatened are just like, oh, I need to draw everything with a pencil. I can't use computers to help my art. Oh no, because somebody will say that artificial intelligence made it, right? So that's my point, is I think the reason we did not get Modrons as a playable player character species is because the Dungeons & Dragons design team doesn't know what to say overall about artificial intelligence, and there's already a player character species that allows player characters to explore the specific part of identity. So I think they were like, if we're going to move, right? But if we can't say anything unique or significant or important, then we can't make a move. So I have sympathy for them there. I wish they had figured out something unique to do, and I wish they had made Modrons a playable player character species. I really wish they had done that. So that would have been much better. Every single word of that is my humble opinion. What do you think of Planescape Adventures in the Multiverse? And do you agree or disagree? I think Modron should have been made a playable species for Dungeons & Dragons for all dungeon performers, right? But do you think I'm wrong? Do you think it would have been not smart to move if they didn't have anything significant to say with it? I'd love to hear your thoughts. Let me know in the comments below. Please consider subscribing, and have a wonderful millennium.